Hi, I'm Jim Atkinson, Managing Partner for Avidian Wealth Solutions. Today, I'm proud to introduce Chris Russell. He's our newest wealth advisor and partner at Avidian Wealth Solutions. Chris, welcome to the team.
I'm so happy to be here.
Chris, as you were telling me earlier, you've been with 4 different firms and been in the business over 21 years. And you're now with Avidian. You've been here for, 3 weeks now?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what do you see as the difference between Avidian versus other firms that you've worked at?
I'll tell you one of the things that stands out just in these early days is the difference in working at a firm that has employee ownership. Each of the firms that I've been with before, I've been proud to be with. They've been fine firms and everything like that. But there is something in the course of every day when you're talking to the people that are your colleagues and that are supporting you and your clients, to know that they have a stake in the game that means something to them personally. They move a little bit faster, they dig a little bit deeper, they are working for you hard, and it makes a really big difference, not only in my workday, but also for the clients that we're serving. So I think that employee ownership makes a big difference. I come from a community where there are a lot of employee-owned businesses, and you can see the difference for those companies that really move a step ahead of the rest of the world in how profitable they are, how well respected they are in the community, what they mean for the difference in their community.
And I think the other firms that you mentioned to me that you had previously worked at, I don't think any of those were private companies.
They were not. In every case, they were institutionally owned. And that's fine, and certainly that's worked over many years in different situations. But it's also nice to have this element where you don't have a different entity that is making decisions for your company that's not really based in what's the most pragmatic and what's the best for your situation. And I think that makes a big difference at the end of the day.
Well, not only that, but when you considered coming to work here, coming to join us actually,
Right.
Being a partner mattered to you, having a stake in how your clients were served.
It really does. I mean, at the point that the people that I'm talking to are aware of the fact that this makes a difference to me, to my long-term plan, and that it is surrounding me with people who love what they do, they're motivated and energized by what they do. It just makes a big difference in the course of the number one objective, which is to serve our clients. If at the end of the day they know that they feel like they're working with people who are informed and that are making as much of a difference in their home as possible, that's a win-win for everybody involved.
That's a great way to put it. What do you like? I would say, what is your favorite part of being a wealth advisor? You played roles previously as
Sure.
in banking roles and whatnot, but as a wealth advisor, that's a little different. What's your favorite aspect of doing that?
I think it's a great question. There's so many different elements about working on financial services for people, and you can have things that relate to the balance sheet. You can have things that relate to the cash flow, projections and things like that. At the end of the day, for me, I think there's an element where I like being the convener with the trusted advisors that somebody has. So if they feel like they're getting feedback and advice about what it is, about how their accounts are being managed, and about, okay, does this make sense from a tax perspective? Does this make sense from an estate planning perspective? Certainly from an investment management perspective. And I can be the one who brings everybody around the table and who creates that collaboration. I think that that's something that's a little bit unusual, that people don't really see an awful lot. And so that's something I thrive on. I really enjoy and thrive on helping people feel like everything is pulled together in a uniform kind of way.
So let's talk about how Avidian delivers that different than other firms that you've worked at.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're not a bank. We are fiduciaries. We're SEC regulated, not FINRA. So, we're not in that broker-dealer world. And I think you've seen a little bit of all of those.
Right.
So how does Avidian deliver a different service than what you've seen in the past?
I think that there's an element, serving as a fiduciary, which was very important to me personally. Making sure that the needs of the client are foremost, and that is, is the principle that rules the day, is certainly a big factor in that service. And from the members of the team and how the Avidian firm is designed, with the investment management committee, with the estate planning support for the team, I think it offers more resources for a home and for our clients than most people would get otherwise. If you had an independent advisor out there and they're needing to make decisions and look at things related to the investments, that's great, that's fine. They may not have all the resources and the research that we do here at Avidian. And then if things come up in the course of our work that are questions people have about their companies, whether they should sell their companies, what the tax impact would be for that, we have the resources now and here to be able to fully explore that. And I think that gives a lot of confidence for our clients.
And the delivery is done more like, just so folks who are watching, just to clarify, more like a trust company as fiduciaries versus commission brokerage, which seems like a lot of clients are moving away from, and just more trust in that structure, the fiduciary model.
Absolutely. I think at every point, and this is true for wherever I've been over 21 years, you want people to know and to feel that everything that you're talking about as options, as strategies, as things down the road, that it's going to be based on their best interest. And so sometimes, if there's that question that is in their mind, like, okay, they're talking to me about this product or that product, and they might have a concern like, okay, why would this be something that person's recommending? Because I've talked to others about that, and they've often been concerned, like, okay, this perhaps might be better for the people selling a product or whatnot. In our situation, it is different in the sense they'll always know that we're on the same side of the table as they are.
I love that. I know you also have a passion for charities, charitable giving, be involved in the community. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's something I think I come from a family and a background where that's always been kind of a strong interest in supporting our community, and I've been active in doing that since I was in my early 20s with different nonprofits and supporting different nonprofits and volunteer time. With this particular role in financial services and as a wealth advisor, I think one of the things that's great is to be able to help families who have that same common interest explore and look for strategically advantageous ways in which for them to carry out their charitable outreach. That's something that's been a keen interest for many years. And, I think, you've got so many families who are charitably involved, but, quite often they've written their donations out of a checkbook. It's the least efficient way to do it. And if I can be part of this, discussion about trying to find a more efficient way to do that, that gives me a lot of satisfaction.
Can you talk a little bit about donor advised funds?
I love donor advised funds because they're a simple, easy to use vehicle for people who are charitable in their giving, where you have an account that is set up to receive ideally low cost basis assets. And so when somebody makes a contribution of a low cost basis asset, say that they've got some stock position that had gone from 100 to 1,000 and they would otherwise have a lot of capital gains, but instead they can put that and they transfer that into a donor advised fund. They get the benefit of having the tax deduction on the front side for the elevated higher cost of it. And they also have the ability to have that invested inside the donor advised fund. And then they can give it away when and where and how they want to charity. So if they're already doing that anyway, let's look at the optimally efficient way to carry that forward. So donor advised funds, many of my clients have decided that that's a path that works for them.
It is it's a product that's growing in interest for this exact reason. Mm-hmm. So thank you for that explanation. Can you talk about some of the organizations you've been involved with sort of in the past in your community and some of the things you've done in that community?
Yeah. One of the ones that I've certainly loved is working with the Community Foundation. The Community Foundation is an organization that's meant to serve in a way to elevate the level of philanthropy in its particular community. And so while there's many different interests that I have, between things that might be the Boys and Girls Club or, education and research, everybody's got their different areas of focus, right? What they're passionate about. From my perspective, and especially in working in financial services, if I can help raise the level of awareness for people to give more charitably in their dollars overall to the community. It may be lots of different things that money is going to, but a community foundation helps people create their own donor advised funds. It helps with their planned giving. And so in that way, it has it's a rising tide that floats all boats. You're creating more of an impact.
Sure.
So I've always enjoyed that.
And that was the Community Foundation of Huntsville?
It is, yeah, the Community Foundation of Greater Huntsville. I've been active with that for about 18 years. I helped start that, worked with a small group of people to kind of have steering committees that had not ever been established before in Huntsville. And we had time to talk to people in the community to see if it's something that there was a strong interest in. And since that time, there's been more than $100 million that's been distributed from the Community Foundation of Greater Huntsville. So it's had
huge impact,
extraordinary impact. More than $170 million has been given to and through it. So there are still the funds that are, the residual funds that are still there that are growing, invested, and will have future impact as well.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you feel proud of that.
I feel proud to be part of the team. There's a Margaret Mead quote that makes reference to never forget that a small group of dedicated, determined citizens can change the world, for indeed it's the only thing that ever has. And that's always been inspiring to me. And so in a way, I think that's an example of the Community Foundation, is you had a group of people that came together and they said, okay, this is an idea that could really make a big difference.
I love that. Yeah, well, I know you're making a big difference really sort of in northern Alabama. I don't think you consider sort of one county or one city just the only place you work within, but you work with folks throughout all of northern Alabama.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's about 6 counties that we're servicing.
That's great. Yeah. Chris, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today and a little bit about yourself and what you're passionate about. I wish you all the best.
All very good, and so happy to be at Avidian.